Okay, so first of all, let's talk about Bitcoin. We are currently trading at 67,461, and we just had almost 40 minutes ago we had the US Open. Price dipped a little bit, and then we had once again a quick move towards the upside. Now, first of all, let me warn you right here. If you are into any long positions, you need to be slightly careful about that because and even if you are someone who is usually busy with their lives, you can have all of these charts open in front of you in trading view, even in your mobile phone, and you can simply just try to put on some simple indicators that I'm going to tell you about, and you can actually see where exactly market is headed towards, right? So first of all, if you are into any long positions on any of these altcoins, you need to be a little bit careful because Bitcoin dominance. So we first of all need to talk about Bitcoin dominance. Now you can see that Bitcoin dominance had this crazy drop, from almost 58%, 58.89% down to 58.28%. And that's why during the last 24 hours, you would have noticed that, okay, most of the altcoins, they were performing good, right? And then we had Bitcoin dominance dropping down to this higher time frame support, and now as of now it's sitting at this higher time frame support, and then obviously we have this 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. So first of all, about Bitcoin dominance, it's just bouncing off this higher time frame support first thing, which means that obviously you need to be a little bit careful about your altcoins positions, and I would try to explain the complete relationship as well. But 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, it dropped below 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and it gave the first retest at 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. On the Bitcoin dominance chart, obviously the retest was successful. A small drop we saw happening, and that's how most of the altcoins, they were performing good during the past 24 hours. But as of now, you would notice that, okay, Bitcoin dominance is simply just breaking out. It's not just bouncing off this higher time frame 4 hour support, but it's also breaking above this 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. This is the first thought, right, about the overall market. Now, Bitcoin once again is trading around 67,400. If it just keeps going up, like if Bitcoin performs good, right, if it goes back to 68,400, then you need not to worry about your altcoin positions, not that much, right? Obviously the altcoins, they are going to lag a lot, if the Bitcoin dominance keeps on increasing. For those of you who don't know about this, Bitcoin dominance, it's simply just the market capitalization of Bitcoin, and at this moment the number is sitting at 58.49%, which means that the total capital that is flowing into the cryptocurrency market, out of that 58.49%, it's basically in terms of Bitcoin, right? It's basically the market capitalization of Bitcoin, and that's why we know that if we need to have any kind of altcoin rally, then Bitcoin dominance, it needs to go down, and the price of Bitcoin, it needs to go up, which obviously means that there is going to be a win-win situation for the altcoins, because at one end the price of Bitcoin would be going up, meaning that the overall market, it's going to look green, and secondly the Bitcoin dominance, it would go down, meaning that capital, instead of flowing into Bitcoin, it would be flowing out of Bitcoin, and we know that if it's flowing out of Bitcoin, automatically it would be flowing into the altcoins, right? And that's why for a perfect altcoin rally, we always usually expect Bitcoin dominance to go down, and the price for Bitcoin to go up. But usually the relationship, it's not that perfect, but always you would notice that whenever the price for Bitcoin, it's going up and Bitcoin's dominance is going down, you would see an altcoin rally. Now, the situation that you would not like to see, especially if you are into any long positions, is the one in which the price for Bitcoin, it would start going down, just like we saw almost an hour or two ago. Just before starting the live stream, I had you can see that I had an alert sounding on big time, banana, Ondo, Atom, WLD, Floki, FTM, Chills, ARKM, AGLD, Silly, Bell, Hot, AGLD, PDA. So you can imagine that, just before starting the live stream, I had alerts sounding on all of these different altcoins. Why exactly? Because just in the last 2 hours or so, we saw that the price for Bitcoin, it was going down, first 30 minutes into the US Open and first 30 to 1 hour before the US 30 minutes or 1 hour before the US Open, the price for Bitcoin, it was going down. It dropped from like 67,500 down to 66,800, 66,700, and the Bitcoin dominance, it was going up. So you can actually notice that how immediate this effect is and how immediately the effect is basically translated into the market. So the Bitcoin dominance, it was going up once again, breaking out of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and at the same time the price of Bitcoin was going down. So that's a kind of a double blow, which means that not only the price for Bitcoin, it's going down, meaning that the overall market, it's not looking healthy, the overall market, it's looking red, which means that altcoins, they're going to suffer at one end, and on the other hand, the Bitcoin dominance, it's also going up, which means that not only the price for Bitcoin is going down, but also capital is flowing into Bitcoin, which means that people would collectively be thinking that, okay, maybe even though the price for Bitcoin is going down, but I need to buy Bitcoin because maybe this is a perfect opportunity to buy into it, right? And that's why, the Bitcoin dominance, it would start going down. So it would start going up at certain occasions when the price for Bitcoin is going down. And at that moment, you would see that the altcoin, they're suffering a lot. At this moment, it's not a good situation, because even though price for Bitcoin, it has gone slightly up during the last 1 hour or so, or almost like during the last 30 minutes or so, but at the same time, the Bitcoin dominance, you can see that it's completely breaking out of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, which means that you are not really going to see any crazy movement in altcoins. Obviously, when you talk about the strong altcoins, like for example, we have seen the movement happening in big time, or we have the example of few meme coins like Popcat we have, but you are not going to see any crazy movement in the rest of the altcoins. Reason, once again, because the Bitcoin dominance, it's going up, and the price for Bitcoin, even if it's going up, which is a good sign, but at the same time, the Bitcoin dominance going up is not really a good sign, right? So that's, this is something that I wanted to explain. If you are into long positions, you need to be a little bit careful about that. Next thing we need to take a look at is the total 2 chart, right? uh, if we need to have once again any altcoin rally, then the total 2 chart, it's once again the market capitalization of the overall crypto market excluding Bitcoin, right? So this is the market capitalization of almost all the altcoins. So if we need to have any kind of altcoin rally, and it's not a good sign that we have created these two equal highs around here, which means that you are going to see a small drop in the altcoins. But in any case, if we have to see any kind of altcoin rally, then not only the perfect correlation between Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin needs to be matched, but at the same time, the total 2 chart, it needs to break above this resistance area. Now, it's a good thing that we already had a break above this trend line. You can actually see that this is a daily time frame chart, not an ordinary chart, not the 4-hour time frame chart. You had the rejection, 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 rejection. And from our understanding, we have discussed this thing over and over again during the past live streams also. We have a complete understanding of this thing, that these kind of trendline breakouts, they are very impulsive, which means that sooner or later we are going to see an impulsive break on this chart towards the upside, which is happening as of now. But the major point of resistance is this one, and the moment we break above, you would see that we would have a break above, then we would have the consolidation phase, then we would have the retest, and then we would have a straight movement up to 1.2 trillion dollars, right? This region right here, which is going to be obviously a very bullish sign for the overall crypto market. Obviously, you would have the altcoin rally, but as long as the price for total 2 chart, it's staying below this resistance area, it's not gonna look good. It's a good thing that we have broken above the trend line. It's a good thing that we have broken above a few dynamic lines. For example, you have 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and the retest is happening to be a successful one, I suppose, right? Okay, yeah. So it's a good thing that price is staying above 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. Then we have 4-hour quarterly VWAP, 3 day 12 period exponential moving average. These are the few immediate support regions for the total 2 chart. But at the same time, it needs to break above this resistance area. I don't really want this to turn into a double top pattern, which I suppose would not really happen. But in any case, this needs to go past this resistance area right here. All right. So any altcoin position that you may have, be it a long position or be it a short position, you can perfectly time it looking at these 2 charts. We have the total 2 charts. We are looking at both of these charts on the higher time frame, but you can also do so on the lower time frame charts. If you would like to find a perfect correlation between your long or short position, a direct correlation, then you can look at the total 2 chart. And if you would like to find an indirect correlation, then you can simply just take a look at the Bitcoin dominance and the Bitcoin chart, which is a kind of a difficult thing because predicting 2 charts at the same time is kind of difficult. So that's why you can simply just take a look at the total 2 chart, right? Now let's get back to the Bitcoin chart. At this moment, we are still now, but anyways, so uh, looking at the Bitcoin chart, we obviously know the significance of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. Do you use exo charts? Yes, I do. I already have pinned it right in my taskbar. So yeah, this one is exo charts and this one is trading light. So I use both of them. We obviously know the significance of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and I wanted to discuss this in detail. Now, lot many people who actually have an understanding of exponential moving averages or usually use exponential moving average, you might be wondering about it, that why exactly, we are looking at 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and it's not the daily time frame chart, it's the 4-hour time frame chart. This is kind of an interesting thing, and I wanted to discuss this once again in detail, that, we are visualizing 1 day 12 period exponential moving average not on the 1 day time frame chart, but actually in the 4-hour time frame chart. If you would use the traditional exponential moving average indicator from TradingView, you would apply it on your charts. You would select the period, let's say to be 200. You would go to the 4-hour time frame chart, it would display 4-hour 200 period exponential moving average. You would go to the daily time frame chart, it would display to you 1 day 12 period 1 day 12 period or 1 day 200 period exponential moving average. But the point here is that in this case, we are still staying on the 4-hour time frame chart, but the line that we have in front of us, this yellow line right here, it's basically 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. It's kind of an interesting thing and kind of a very beautiful thing that we are actually noticing 1 day a higher period moving average on a smaller time frame chart. And that's why I developed this indicator. And secondly, if you would be using the traditional moving average indicator, then it only allows you to have one period in the settings, right? You could have one period, and there are a few indicators available on TradingView that would allow you to have maximum of 5 exponential moving averages in one indicator. And we know that almost all the people, or almost the majority of the people, they're using the free version for TradingView, and the free version only allows you to have maximum 3 indicators on your chart. But this indicator that I developed, it's basically solving both of these problems. Not only, if you would go into the settings of this, and by the way, all of these indicators, they're free for all of you. I've given, everyone who asked for it, I gave them access to MTF EMA, and I gave them access to MPVWAP or any other moving average indicator that they requested for, right? If you would go into the settings of this indicator, you would notice that we have the option to select all of these different period moving averages. So, these are the time frames that I usually use: 4-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour, 1 day, 3 day, and 1 week. And similarly, these are the periods that I usually use: 12 period, 21 period, 50 period, 90 or 100 period, 200 period. So, on all of these periods and on all of these different time frames, I simply just embedded all of these moving averages into one indicator. So you can see that you have the option in just one indicator, you have the option to turn on or turn off all of these different moving averages. And not only it's allowing you to have all of these moving averages in just one indicator, but also it's allowing you to have a higher period. It's allowing you to visualize a higher period exponential moving average on a smaller time frame chart. In this case, you are still on the 4-hour time frame chart, but it will be displaying to you the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. The reason why I'm emphasizing upon this is because it's so important to have a higher period moving average on a smaller time frame chart. Because let's say that you're focusing on this area right here. You can see that the price is bouncing off 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, right? If you were to look at the same, if you were to look at the same price action on the daily time frame chart, you would have noticed that, okay, on the daily time frame chart, the daily candle has not closed yet, right? And then you would say that, let's just play it forward. Okay, the daily candle just bounced off, this region. And based on that, this is going to be your entry point. Okay, a lot many times this usually happens, or you would be waiting for the retest back again. But if you were to notice the very same thing on the smaller time frame chart, you would be able to perfectly time your entries. Because remember this thing, the bounce happened, you would have immediately entered into the long position, placing a stop loss wherever you would want it to be. And it's going to look something like this, right? So in the case of, if you would visualize 1 day 12 period exponential moving average on the 1 day time frame chart, you wouldn't be able to find an entry point, because the price action obviously is going to be based upon 1 day candles, and it's not going to give you a perfect entry point. And this is the whole concept behind multi-time frame analysis as well. Whenever people do multi-time frame analysis, they usually use the top-down approach, meaning that they would be starting from the higher time frame charts, daily time frame charts, to develop a bias, meaning that if they would like to go long or if they would like to go short, they would find an order block, they would find a fair value gap, they would find support and resistance, and then they would drop to the lower time frame charts, maybe 5 minute, maybe 1 minute, maybe 15 minute, and based on that they would try to find the entry points. So the higher time frame charts, they never really are there to give you entry points, they're only there to give you your directional bias. So in this case also, if you would be using the traditional moving average indicator, you wouldn't be able to find good entry points. But in case you are using this indicator, which allowing you to visualize any higher period exponential moving average, be it 1 day 12, be it 1 day 200, be it 3 day 200, be it 3 day 12. This red line, by the way, is 3 day 12 period exponential moving average. So for higher time frames, I'm usually using only these two, because since it's a smaller period, so it's going to be it's not only smaller period, but it's usually called as the fast period. So the higher periods, they're usually called the slow period. For example, 200 period, it's going to be labeled as a slow period moving average, and 12 period or 21 period or 5 period, they would usually be called as a fast period moving average. So which means that it's going to be aligned perfectly with the current price, which means that it's going to move along with the price instead of 200 period, which probably is going to be somewhere around here, and price may not even go back to 200 period, 1 day 200 period exponential moving average in the next 6 months, 8 months, sometimes 1 year as well, right? It really depends upon the market situation. But in this case, that's why we use a slow period exponential moving averages usually to find good entry points. And in this case, 1 day 12 period, it's very useful, not only on the Bitcoin chart, but also on any other chart that you would be using, right? So, the thing that I wanted to talk about was that in this situation currently, the price for Bitcoin, it's bouncing off a very important region, which is basically 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, right? And if you would look at the past data, you would notice that we had the breakout towards the upside. Usually the first retest, as I always say, is the single best opportunity to take a long or a short trade. And remember this thing, that the first retest, or the concept of retest, it's not just valid for horizontal support and resistance regions, but it's also equally valid for these dynamic support and resistance regions as well. For example, VWAP, for example, exponential moving averages, for example, Bollinger Bands or Fibonacci levels, or whatever dynamic line that you would be using. The concept is generally the very same. So in this case, price breaks above the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, gives the perfect retest at 62.1k, and then we had the move towards 69k. Now this is going to be the second retest. Obviously, there is no guarantee that the second retest is going to be a successful one or not, but still it is going to act as a strong support region. So unlike the popular opinion, I know that a lot many people, they're saying, and I'm of the very same opinion, I have the very same opinion, that if we break below, we need to defend the 67k region. And so far it's not looking good, because that this was the level that had to be defended. And I would show you why exactly this level I'm talking about using volume profiles, because price during the past 1 week or so, or past 1 or 2 weeks, during this whole rally towards upside, has usually always followed the volume profiles, high volume nodes. This is usually not always the case, but so far, this has happened to be true. And that's why, this is the first instance during this whole move towards the upside that price has broken below this high volume node, this point of control, which means that it's going to act as a very strong resistance area. And until and unless we reclaim the 67.4k region, it's not gonna look good. I'm not going to take a short position, and the only short position that I would be attempting is going to be around 68.4k, because this is my point of control, or this is the region that I'm looking at, or zone of interest. Some people like to call it point of control, some people like to call it ZOE, meaning zone of interest, whatever you would like to call it, right? 68.3k is the spot where I would be attempting a short position, depending upon the market condition. But I just wanted to tell you guys that at this moment, it's not like we've lost everything, right? Bitcoin dominance, no doubt it's going up, which is not really a good sign. Total 2 chart, it's trading under a major resistance area. Once again, not a good sign. The price for Bitcoin, it's looking weak, although we have this huge VIX, and obviously the huge VIX are basically representing that there is a demand present around this region. And we had this VIX down below this low area. This was a very very important low, because this is an important major structural swing low. I would be talking about the significance of this low as well. But first of all, you need to understand all of this in terms of 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, that we are sitting right above it. Okay, let's now understand the same thing from the perspective of USDT dominance chart as well, right? We know that this is a chart which is negatively and inversely correlated with the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to talk about a lot more detail about the USDT dominance chart. Also, the last time I basically discussed the USDT dominance thing, I did not, we were basically streaming back then over YouTube. Once again, the internet connection was not good. I was not able to communicate everything that I wanted to say properly. But yeah, I find it a good opportunity to talk about USDT dominance as well. Now, same thing applies on the USDT dominance chart as well. If I turn off the rest of these dynamic lines, you would notice once again a very important thing, right? So this yellow line, basically, it's once again 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. So we break below 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, we go back, and back on 13th of October, we were not just giving a perfect retest at 62.1k on the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average chart on the Bitcoin, but we were also doing the same thing, but oppositely, right? We were giving a bearish retest at 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and 3-day 12-period exponential moving average on the USDT dominance chart, and then we had a very quick move towards downside. This is going to be the second retest, just like it's going to be the second retest on the Bitcoin chart. So everything as of now really depends upon how USDT dominance behaves around this region, which is 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. If it goes past this resistance area, then we would have to be very careful, because then we would have to start looking at 63.5k. I would talk about the significance of 63.5k region as well. There are so many things to talk about, and that's why any questions that you guys may have, you can simply just drop them in the chat box. I would make sure to respond to all of them, right? So at this point, the Bitcoin chart, it's bouncing off 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, and the USDT dominance chart, it's rejecting off this 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. And a good sign is that we seem to be making these two equal highs around here, right, on the USDT dominance chart. And once again, it's an understanding that you would see the equal highs, you would take a short position, you would see the equal lows, you would build a long position. And equal highs on this chart would basically just mean that the Bitcoin chart, it has the possibility of going up, right? Many people, they are taking short positions, they are building short positions. But once again, I would like to play a little bit more careful, because although things are not looking good, Bitcoin definitely is looking weak, but 68.3k, just like I mentioned, is the region that I'm looking at, right? So in terms of 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, the thing is clear that Bitcoin is sitting above it, and the USDT dominance chart, it's basically sitting below it, right? Now let's quickly talk about the structure as well. On the Bitcoin chart, the external structure and the internal structure, it goes without saying, obviously, that the internal structure on the Bitcoin chart, it's obviously bullish. Talking about the external structure, which is usually more important, right, and which is usually more significant, you had the breakout structure around here. You had the breakout structure. For those of you who don't know, breakout structure simply means, in terms of market structure, the market is going to continue in its original direction, and change of character simply just means that market is going to reverse its direction, right? I would try my best to explain it to you. So you had the breakout structure, and structure is basically looking something like this. So you have an impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, you have impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, you have impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, and we cannot consider these smaller waves because price only wicked above this area. I'm not going to get into the details of that because that would be a little bit complicated to explain, but in any case, yeah. So we have impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, another impulsive wave. And most probably, if you are into long positions, if you are waiting for Bitcoin to go up, then you would pray that, okay, this happens to be just a retracement wave, this happens to be corrective wave, and then price would go up something like this. Okay, so this is the definition of an uptrend. You have impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, and impulsive wave. Now, two things I would like to explain. The first one is that uh, isn't the first BUS. I'm not going to get into the details of that, Michael. Just like I said, I have completely ignored some smaller structural points. But if you would look at it, from a bigger picture, then that's how basically it's gonna look like, right? And that's why I'm not going to get into the details of that, because obviously, if you would go into the details, then there are few structural changes around here. But by the looks of it, the bigger picture looks something like this. This is the first thought, right? So you have impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, and corrective, and this looks like a strong uptrend, right? But the thing that you would notice, usually when the trend is strong, right, you wouldn't really have deeper retracements, and I would explain to you why. In this case, you can see that you had an impulsive wave and corrective wave. Remember this thing that if Fibonacci retracement tool is basically a tool that has been designed. I don't know why exactly people use it for all of these different purposes, although it has a very different use case as well. But the main purpose it serves is to find the length of the retracement waves. The reason why it was created was to find the length of the retracement waves, right? This is your impulsive wave and this is the corrective wave or retracement wave. Impulsive wave is the bigger wave, which is in the direction of the trend, and the corrective or the retracement wave, it's a smaller wave, which is in the opposite direction of the trend. We are not going to get into the details of that because that's a completely separate topic, completely separate subject, but Fibonacci retracement tool, right? If you would draw fib retracement levels, and how do you exactly draw them from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, whenever the retracement happens down below 50% level, you would say that, okay, the trend, it's not that strong. But whenever, out of any of these legs, okay, you have this one leg right here, you have this second leg right here, you have this third leg, and this is the fourth leg in formation. Whenever you see in any trend that the retracement wave or the corrective wave, it's going below the 50% fib level, this is the 50% fib level. If it goes something like this, then you would notice that, okay, the trend, it's not that strong, right? And the next leg most probably is going to be back down to maybe 61.8%, 65%, and 70.5%. And usually when the trend is strong, usually when the trend is not strong enough, you would have a deeper retracement, and then you would be bidding at the levels like 65% and 70.5% level. The perfect example for this is the big time trade, which we completely missed. Shame on us, because this was a strong uptrend, and you can see that you had the impulsive wave, corrective wave, and if you would look at this leg right here, the retracement happened down to 78.6% fib level, giving you an indication that, okay, this trend, it's not that strong. Or you could simply just interpret it the different way as well, meaning that the trend, although it's strong, but the retracements, they're quite deep, which means that, and that was the complete thought process as well behind taking this long trade. Once again, you would draw fib retracement from the start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, and you can actually see that the retracement was perfectly at the 65% fib level, and we should have held on to this position. Once again, I don't know why exactly we closed it. It was a 17% move just overnight, a very good one in my opinion. But yeah, since the market, it was not looking good, so we had to just close it. But the point you should be able to understand, you would be able to understand that, okay, the retracement, it happened back down to 65% fib level. So in this case, if you would have drawn fib levels on the first leg, you would immediately notice that, okay, the retracement happened only down to 23.6% level. And usually when this is the case, what I would do is that I would usually expect the next leg to drop down to maybe 38.2% level, right? If it goes down below 50% level, the first leg or the second leg, or if the retracements, they're not too deep, they're shallow, then in those cases you would simply just bid at 38.2, and if it goes down below 50% level, then you would start bidding at 65% Fibonacci level. So once again, let's draw fib level, start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, and you can notice that price perfectly dropped down to 38.2% fib level. And just like I mentioned to you, above 50% level, meaning when the trend is strong, usually 38.2 has significance, this level right here. And when the trend is not strong, meaning the retracements are deep, the retracement legs are going down below 50% level, then in those cases 65% fib level or 70.5% fib level, they usually become more significant. Now in this final leg, then we had this third leg right here. Once again, let's try to understand this one. Start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave. Once again, we had the retracement down to 38.2% fib level. But in this case, you would notice that the retracement has already gone past, the final region, right? It was not only down to 70.5, 78.6, 88.6, 99.90, meaning that it even went past this last low right here, which means that the retracement was a little bit too deep. This could be an indication that the trend it's exhausted. The trend is not that strong now, and there are strong signs of reversal. This is the first thing. And secondly, this still cannot be considered as a change of character. Usually whenever we are talking about trends, we say that okay, this is an uptrend, meaning that price is continuously giving you break of structures, and if at some point price breaks below the previous low area right here, we usually say that this is a change of character. But in this case, the change of character I wouldn't say has happened. All the trend is looking weak. This could simply just be termed as a liquidity sweep because there was no candle close below the previous low. There was only a wick below the previous low, but still, the trend is not looking strong in terms of external structure. So the trend, it's still bullish, but it's very much possible that we are about to see a complete trend reversal very soon. So that's why, once again, a sign of warning for all of you, need to be a little bit careful. Bitcoin dominance, and we have a similar thing pointing out towards in terms of market structure as well. And finally, just like I mentioned, I would explain it to you in terms of volume profiles as well, right? So usually we use the volume profiles in a very same manner. We usually use them in swing points, but they're less accurate in comparison to fib levels, or less accurate in comparison to the rest of the tools, because the problem with volume profiles is that a lot of ambiguity, first of all, because you cannot precisely find out the swing points, which swing points you would like to take into account. This is the first problem usually. And secondly, the point of controls, they're always evolving and continuously changing, right? So in this case, but the reason why I'm drawing them is because in this complete move towards upside, you would notice that the volume profiles or the point of controls, they played a very important role. So if you would draw them from the start of impulsive wave, or like if you would draw it from this region, one second, this region, right? And that's why I was saying that the volume profiles, they could be drawn in either direction, right? That's why they are usually difficult to comprehend, because you wouldn't really just draw them from the start of impulsive wave or end of impulsive wave, or you would usually draw them in corrective waves as well, right? So in case, you can see that we have volume profile being drawn in the opposite direction. But the point is that this was a point of control. Price had the perfect bounce of this point of control, right? This is the first thing. The second thing, if you would try to draw it from the start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, once again, you would notice that this region, it was perfectly defended once again. If you would draw it once again from the start of impulsive wave or to the end of impulsive wave, let me try to draw it. Okay, so once again, you can see that the price bounce perfectly happened off this level, right? Once again, the 67k level, it was perfectly defended. Once again, if you would draw it from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you would notice that this 68k level, it was perfectly defended. Price once again bounced off it. But if you would draw it in the final leg right here, you would notice that this was the level that we had to defend, or I guess even if you would draw it like this. Okay, so this was the region that we had to defend. And if you would only consider it in the final leg, then you would notice that this is the area that we should have defended. Obviously, it was not possible to defend this region, 68.4k, because it was very close to the major swing point. Price obviously had a break below immediately. And that's why I'm looking at this region, because this is a region that should have been defended, meaning that price should have bounced off this level, since it did not, unlike the previous situations in which every time, price came back to the point of control or the zone of interest, it always had a bounce happening. But in this situation, since it did not happen, that's why I can say that the point of control has been lost. Obviously, the support, it would automatically be turned into a resistance area. It's a flip zone, meaning that supports turn into resistances turn into support. So in this case, it's quite possible that if you wish to take a short position, you should be bidding at 68.4k area. Obviously, this would have become much more significant if we had closed a 4-hour candle below this low area, because at that point we would have got the change of character or further confirmation in terms of market structure as well. And usually in such circumstances, what we would do is that we would draw fib retracement levels from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. And remember this thing, people have different interpretations of market structure, meaning breakout structure and change of character. There are so many unwritten rules, meaning that some people, you would go out there, you would ask somebody, they would say that if price breaks below the previous low, and even if it does not closes, even if it wouldn't close a 4 hour candle below the previous low, that would still be considered as a change of character. But in my case, if it closes a 4 hour candle below, only then I would say that it's a valid change of character. So for me, it's just a liquidity sweep. But for the most of the people, if you would ask them, this would still be a change of character, meaning that the next thing they would do, and if we go by that interpretation, if we go by that definition that this still is a change of character, then the next thing we would do is that we would take out our Fib tool, draw Fibonacci retracement from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. And it's a very good thing that this 65% level or 61.8% Fib level, usually that's where we should be bidding. It's perfectly aligned with the point of control that we have in terms of volume profile, which means that there are a few confluences present around this area, pointing out to the fact that if price goes up to 68.4k, only if it happens, I'm very much optimistic that price would be able to reclaim this spot, this resistance area around here. And the moment it happens, we would have a move up to 68,370 to be precise, and that's where we would be attempting a small short position, right? I have very much explained everything in terms of the volume profile, point of control, in terms of market structure, in terms of a few dynamic regions that we have. If you wish to take a long position, and you probably think that I completely just missed this whole move towards upside, and you have been waiting to catch the perfect possible move, then you would only be looking, or you need to only look at this point right here, 63.5k, because once again, the first retest always the best opportunity. We would all agree over this thing. And remember this thing, that price had a huge move towards upside, breaking above 63.5k. It took quite some time for us to break above 63.5k, but finally it happened. And now the first retest of this region, it's still pending. The first retest of $66,000 region is also pending. What you can do is that you can draw Fib levels from the start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave. You can say that, okay, 65% Fib level retest is still pending, meaning that 66.4k is also a good point of interest. But once again, if you are looking at a picture perfect entry, that happens to get filled in the event that we get a huge dump, then you need to look at this region right here, 63.5k. But if you are okay with going a little bit aggressive, then what you would do is that you would draw Fib tools from the start of impulsive wave to this bigger impulsive wave, start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, and you would notice that this 65% Fib level, it's perfectly aligned with 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and you can take a long position around here. But remember this thing, that this opportunity most probably has already passed. Price has already bounced off 61.8% Fib level. The reason why I say this is because even if you would start bidding at this spot right here, if you would attempt a long position and price closes a 4-hour candle below this low area right here, you would be going against the market structure. You would be going in the opposite direction of market structure, right? And that's why I would suggest, instead of going around here, probably wait for 64k region or 63.5k region. This is the region that you need to look at if you are waiting for a very good long position. And this is the region where you can basically attempt a short position, right? So this is all of my understanding in terms of the Bitcoin chart. Finally, let's take a look at the USDT dominance. First of all, remember that on the daily time frame chart, the Bitcoin chart, it may not give you a very clear picture of what exactly is coming, right? But the USDT dominance chart, it's often giving you a much better picture, right? It's usually giving you a much clear picture, I would say. Usually drawing support and resistance areas, it's usually more easy, I would say. So on the USDT dominance chart, if I remove this trend line, if I remove these quartiles, you would notice that we have this very important support region, right? We had the bounce off this region, we had price breaking below, then coming back, giving the retest. The first retest was a successful one, then price came back again. We had the second retest, successful one, the third retest, successful one, once again came back up. The first retest, successful one, did not react around here this time, but once again came back up, gave the first retest, successful one, the second retest, successful one, the third retest, successful one. And in this case, it seems to be once again giving the first retest and most probably it's going to be a successful one, or at least I would anticipate that this happens to be a successful one. The point here is that this is a very important resistance area. Price just bounced off this very small support present around here, but once again, this is a region that we need to focus on. And at this point, price had a break below this very important support level on the USDT dominance chart. It's giving a bearish retest at this very important resistance area. Obviously, this support has now flipped into a resistance, and it's quite possible that we would have a heavy rejection around this region, and then we would go back down to this next higher time frame support. So if that happens, if everything happens to play by the book, then in that case Bitcoin would eventually break past the $73,000 region, which is the last all-time high, right? So first of all, you need to look at this higher time frame resistance area. It's basically giving you a good picture. Secondly, this is a trend line that we need to take a look at. You had the bounce of this trend line, once again two bounces, once again this smaller bounce right here. We had the small break below the trend line. Now, once again, our understanding is that I have discussed this thing over and over again during the last live streams also, that whenever price breaks below these kind of trend lines, it's usually a very impulsive break towards the downside, right? I just showed you the chart for total 2. It was exactly the opposite trend line. Even if I would simply just invert the scale, you can see that it was a trend line like this. So whenever price would break above these kind of trend lines, it's a very impulsive break. It's the same thing because the chart obviously is inverted. And if it would break below this trend line, once again, it's going to be a very impulsive break. Many of the altcoin charts, and before you take a long and any of your favorite altcoin charts, remember to draw this kind of trend line, because I just recently noticed the chart for, I guess it was WIF, dog with hat. And then you had the chart for FTM. Then you had the chart for I forgot the name for it. But yeah, many of these charts, they're having the break below the trend line. Okay. And remember PEP. Yeah. So the chart and the PEP also had a break below the trend line during the last 24 hours. So we know that whenever the break below the trend line happens, it's usually a very impulsive break, meaning that most probably the break is happening if it happens to be a successful one and not just a fake out. The possibility of fake out is still there, meaning the price needs to break below and need to consolidate below, right? It's giving a bearish retest at this moment, but we only closed a very small, not even a complete candle below this region, below this trend line, one daily candle, and that would still be considered as a fake out if price goes back up and fully reclaims this trend line back again. But to once again drive the point back home again, the thing that I'm trying to say is that this is a very important trend line. And once price fully breaks below trend line, it's going to be a very impulsive break. And a very impulsive break on the USDT dominance chart trend line would simply just mean that in no time, Bitcoin would break below the, the last all-time high at $73,800 region. And, the signs are good, at least by looking at the USDT dominance chart, because, it's not trading above any of the major support regions. You have price breaking below this major level, you have price breaking below the trend line, you have price breaking below MTF 200 EMA, you have price breaking below 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. Let me turn on MTF 2, so we have 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, you have MTF 200 EMA, you have 3 day 12 period exponential moving average, you have 4-hour quarterly VWAP. So there are so many things at this point in time that are giving price a rejection, meaning that it's not like the Bitcoin chart. It's looking bad at this moment, because you can take a look for yourself. We are trading under all of these major regions. Yes, this MTF 200 EMA, or I guess it's yearly VWAP. So yearly VWAP is probably the only spot that we need to break below, because if I turn off the rest of these things, you would notice that yearly VWAP has always been a problem for us, right? You had the first bounce of this, 3 bounces of this yearly VWAP. You had 2 bounces of this yearly VWAP. You had 2 bounces of this yearly VWAP. Once again, you had a very small break below the yearly VWAP. Once again, price fully reclaimed this. So as long as price is trading above the yearly VWAP, it's not a good sign, right? Apart from the yearly VWAP thing on the daily time frame chart, everything is looking good on the USDT dominance chart. If you are bullish on Bitcoin, you have the resistance area, this horizontal resistance area, you have this trend line right here. Although price is not fully broken below all of these regions, but at least we are seeing the reaction happening. And the moment we see a swift reaction or swift break below all of these regions, Bitcoin in no time would be trading around 77,000, 80,000, right? So that's my target as of now, 80,000 to at least 77,000, because that's where the next resistance area is in terms of Fib levels. We already discussed this almost like a month or two ago, talking about Fib levels, right? The video, it's over YouTube, you can go and watch it. So the point once again is that things are looking good if you would take a look at the USDT dominance chart, because it's giving you a clear picture that it's only a matter of time, right? It's only a few more daily candle closes below this level, and everything would be perfect, right? Because in no time we would be trading above $73,000 region. And because once again, it's our basic understanding that if the break below the trend line happens, it's going to be a very impulsive break, right? But finally, I wanted to talk about one important thing in terms of fractals and in terms of quartiles. I would not take much time in explaining that, because once again, I suppose I already did that during the last live stream, and some of you already know about it. There is a very interesting fractal that the USDT dominance chart is basically following, right? uh, remember this thing, that the USDT dominance chart and the Bitcoin chart, they are inversely or negatively correlated with each other, meaning that every bottom on the USDT dominance chart was basically the top on the Bitcoin chart. Every time the USDT dominance chart took a bounce, the Bitcoin chart, it had a rejection. It had the perfect dip happening, right? Every time it bounced off, every time it formed this local bottom around here, this local bottom around here, this local bottom around here, this local bottom, these two local bottoms around here. It was obviously in the top for Bitcoin, because it's very logical as well that both of these charts are inversely or negatively correlated with each other, right? This is no surprise. But the point is that if you would draw quartiles on any of these fractals, what fractals I'm talking about, the daily time frame which chart we have, it's very simple to understand. You have an impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, you have impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, you have impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, you have impulsive wave, and this is the whole corrective wave thing, right? Meaning that this is your low, this is your high, anything which is happening in between is simply just irrelevant. And at least in theory, we should have a corrective wave, and then we should have another impulsive wave towards upside, meaning that Bitcoin should break below $49,000 region, right? Now, the interesting fact here is that if you would try to draw quartiles on these fractals, you find a very important thing, right? Q simple. Okay, so this is a, once again, sorry for this, this cluttered chart, but I cannot remove any of these drawings, because unlike the rest of the pairs, you only have one option for USDT.D, right? Which means that if I remove any of these drawings, I wouldn't be able to, just put them back on. 1 second. Okay. So if you would try to draw quartiles on any of these, fractals, you would notice that this is the start of impulsive wave. This is the end of impulsive wave. You can see that the price bounce happened perfectly off 75% quartile. And this was the top for Bitcoin, okay, almost back on 1st of April. If you would draw a quartile, start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, once again, price bounced happened off 75% level on the daily time frame chart. Look how perfect this is, right? Once again, back on 21st of May, this was the top for the Bitcoin chart. Once again, if you would draw quartiles from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you would notice that price bounced off 75% level. Once again, this was the top for the Bitcoin chart. Now, this is the last fractal that we are looking at. If you would draw quartiles from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you would notice that the perfect bounce happened of this area when price marked the top around $66,000 level. But this was the perfect, if you're looking for the picture perfect move, if you're looking for the Pico entry, then this was the bounce of 75% quartile level, which means that we are still in the danger zone until and unless this quartile or this fractal is completely invalidated, which price on the USDT dominance chart has been following religiously. I would say you had this region, this leg right here completely playing out, this leg right here completely playing out, this leg right here completely playing out, and now it's only a matter of time. We had the first bounce smaller, we had the second bounce, we had the third bounce. So only if this fractal gets invalidated, you can expect to see an all-time high on Bitcoin. But if this fractal plays out, this was the actual bounce. In this case, price just fell short by few points. In this case also, it fell short by few points, In this case, now it has perfectly bounced off 75% quartile level, which means that it's very much a make or a break situation, right? Either it would go back up, just like the previous situations, where every time the 75% bounce happened, price went on to create a new all-time high, sorry, a new higher high, right? In this case, you can see that you had the bounce happening around here, then price broke above the previous high and created a new higher high. In this case, the bounce happened, price created a new higher high. In this case, the bounce happened, price created a new higher high. So in this situation, if we play by the book and price bounces around here, happens to bounce around here, and we create a new higher high, then this would mean that the Bitcoin price, it would go back below $49,000 region. The possibility for this is quite low because obviously, we are trading around very close to the last all-time high. Obviously, you would say that the chances are low, but we're still in the danger zone because we're still trading around 75% quartile, which price has almost always followed during the past 9 to 10 months. Okay. And if we wish to see any all-time high happening anytime soon, then we need to break below this quartile level. And first time we need to close a few daily candles below this 75% level. Only if we close a few daily candles below 75% quartile level, only then you would be a bit optimistic that, okay, the new all-time high is about to happen. But in this region, if you would attempt a short position, it would give you a much better risk to reward ratio. Just imagine that if you would open a short around 68,000 and your TP is going to be 49,000, stop loss is above 70,000. Because remember this thing, the moment price breaks below and closes a few candles below this 75% quartile level, the whole idea, it's obviously going to get invalidated. So the invalidation, it's very close. The invalidation, it's very tight at this point in time. Okay. So this is the, the whole situation that I wanted to talk about. I have pretty much tried to explain each and every possible aspect of this. We are still in this long position on mu USDT. Let's see how it goes. And, a few more alerts that I had just before the live stream started, the one I had on chess. Let me just once again set the alerts because I'm expecting this one to drop down a little bit more down to this region. Big time. Okay, let's not take a look at it. Every time I take a look at it, it just hurts me. Okay, right there at the left side of my chest. So banana USDT, our entry point for this one is $50, I guess, or $51. Let's just forget about this Ondo, right? Creating two equal lows around here. But once again, I'm not willing to bid this any higher than this region, right? I would wait for this to drop back down to this high time frame support. Atom, okay, Atom, it was supposed to bounce off here. That's why I marked this region. But after a few bounces, it should go back down to 4.57 for WLD. No, I'm not gonna attempt this one because I had the long position around here. It failed, but it was a very quick move. I was not able to catch the entry. I was by the way waiting for price to drop back down a little bit down to this spot. Did not happen, but you can actually see that bounce, rejection, came back up, gave the first retest. It was obviously a successful retest. Floki, once again, I have the alert set, meaning that I would wait for it to drop down to this level. FTM, trend line break is happening, but I would not attempt a short position just now because price is bouncing off the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. So chills is a good position. I have been eyeing it for almost 2 to 3 weeks. A little bit weak, I would say, in comparison to rest of the altcoins. So yeah, we would think about it. ARKM is good, but once again, we need to set an alert around here, wait for it to drop back down to this area. AGLD, I don't know what happened with AGLD. It had a crazy drop. You can see that it had a crazy drop of almost 14%, 15%. But once again, there is always a risk associated with coins that are having a crazy drop. But anyways, I would set the alerts around here, wait for it to drop back down to this entry point. Then we would decide silly USDT. Once again, let's set the alerts around here. You can see that it's a very important region. So the first retest, hopefully it happens to be a successful one. Bell USDT, it had a once again crazy drop, crazy move towards upside. This is something that you would call Burj Khalifa pattern, bounced off 65% fib level. Not only 65% fib level, but this is also the region of non-anchored quarterly VWAP. The risk is there, it's never really a better idea or it's never really a good idea to bid the coins that are having this kind of a crazy drop. We have the example of Reef. So instead of just trying to catch the knife, maybe just try to bid coins like APT or any meme coins. Hot USDT, once again, the entry got filled for this one. I have not shared this one because price is slightly congested in between these regions, but this still is a good spot. I'm just looking at some strong coins. PDA is a coin. Let's just forget about this. I was waiting for the break above the trend line. Already happened, gave like 7%, 10% move, so I would not be bidding this one. One cat, also forget about this one. Although this one had a perfect bounce of this, this volume profile, this point of control level. So if somebody would like to take a long on this one, they can do so. But remember this, that we already have this. This is actually a kind of low liquid coin in comparison to the ones that we already have. So, let's just be a little bit careful on this one. CTK, this one looks good because price has reclaimed this area, and also it's bouncing off quarterly VWAP and yearly VWAP. So if anyone would like to bid on CTK, then this chart looks good. Since I already have a few positions open, that's why I'm just a little bit skeptical about opening too many at the same time, until and unless Bitcoin fully reclaims the spot that we just talked about. CTK is a chart that we need to focus on. In my opinion, we can build a position on this one, but since in this case, even the stops are not going to be that huge, right? So as soon as the live stream ends, probably I would be taking a look at few of these, right? So CTK we just talked about, and apart from that, nothing interesting, I would say. Blur already have the entry for this. I hope so. It just not missed. It just didn't get missed by like 1%, 2%. But yeah, that's it. No other charts I'm looking at. There is this another one, Boba USDT. I don't know what does that mean, but no. Let's just not bid this one. Perp as well. ZRX. This one is also looking good because this one just bounced off the quarterly VWAP, and this was just shared to me by Saltware. Credits to him. He thought that this was a good setup, and if anyone would like to bid this one, it's sitting on some higher time frame support. 4 hour, it's sitting on the quarterly VWAP. It has a tight stop loss, so maybe we can bid this one. But once again, everything depends on the fact that how Bitcoin performs. And the reason why I'm not very keen on taking long positions on any of these random coins is because I just want to build positions on some strong ones, right? Or in this case, this meme coin, it's looking good in my opinion. Can you please have a look at Avalanche? Thank you in advance. Okay, let's take a look at AVAX. Avalanche. The Bybit chart. Oh, okay, so it's sitting on this higher time frame support. Okay, good thing. It's actually a good thing. And it just bounced off the quarterly VWAP, I suppose. Yeah, so the quarterly VWAP, a non-anchored quarterly VWAP. So far it's looking good. But I suppose that it also has this trend line information. So the moment you lose this trend line, things are not gonna look good, right? The moment you start losing this trend line. So you need to play safe on this one. Okay, at this moment it's looking good, but remember that the first retest, this is a second retest, right? This is a strong support, but the moment it breaks below, not only it would be breaking below the trend line, but it would also be breaking below the higher time frame support area, but it would also be breaking below the quarterly VWAP non-anchored, meaning that it's going to turn into a very strong resistance area. The price action overall looks good. It's not a very scammy price action, but yeah, it had this trend line breakout, of course. Trend line breakout, and this is the higher time frame support that we are talking about, right? So far it's sitting on this higher time frame support. You can see that it had rejection, came back up, bounce, came back down, rejection, came back up, bounce, came back down, rejection, came back up. So it just gave the first retest. I wouldn't say first because this one would also be considered as a retest. And yeah, okay, so this is actually looking good, sitting on the higher time frame support area and sitting on the quarterly and both quarterly VWAPs, right? It is a shit coin. But the symbol is same. The symbol is same. It's still AIT USDT. AIT USDT. So there are no more AIT listed on Mexi. This is the one that I'm looking at, AIMALS. Ah, okay. 1.892. Yeah, it's definitely a different one. The symbol is same on both the exchanges, but the coin is different, Mexi. So this one is looking not good. The previous one was looking good, but this one is definitely not, because although it seems to be sitting on some higher time frame support, but at the same time it's trading. You can actually take a look at the price action and you can tell it's a very low liquid coin, illiquid coin, and it's trading under some major resistance areas, right? So you have quarterly VWAP, and it's again and again having strong rejection of this regions, meaning that high likelihood that we would very soon break below this level, right? Would have a break something like this. So, and most of these coins, they solely depend upon pump and dump groups. So before you get pranked by any of them, I would suggest going simply just making the exit, because it's giving it has given multiple retests at this level, right? This was the first retest, this was a second retest, this was a third retest, this was a fourth one, this is the fifth one. And you can see that with every retest, the retracement is getting smaller, 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 meaning that high possibility sooner or later we're going to have a wick down to this area. So much better to just stay away from this one. And anything that's listed over Mexi, I would once again suggest not trading it when you were using a soft stop loss. And by the way, we recently had a discussion with a few of our members, and we decided that we would, with the plays, if it's possible, we would have a hard stop loss, just for those people who are not able to just keep track of all the calls and everything. Hey Pika, hope you're doing good, man. When using a soft stop loss from a trade alert, can you know how to identify an additional hard stop loss? Actually, it's a good question, but the answer once again is same. If you have been watching the live stream from the beginning, you would know that I just talked about market structure, and I explained to you that when we take into account market structure, we usually say that in terms of market structure, you cannot take into account VIX, because they would simply just be considered as liquidity sweeps above the highs or below the lows. And that's why, because a lot many of my calls are taking into account market structure, that's why it simply just becomes evident. It simply just becomes a sort of compulsion for me to have a soft stop loss instead of a hard stop loss. And even if price wicks below the low area that I have set as a stop loss, it would still just not be considered as a stopped out trade, because obviously we have a stop loss, and even it still wouldn't be considered as a change in market structure. But the only thing that you can tackle it is simply just by having setting the hard stop loss at that region. Because someone just shared the stat with me like a week or two ago. They said that only a handful of your trades, only maybe 5% or 6% of your trades go back to the stop loss, right? Or only 5% or 6% of your trades get decided by hard or soft stop loss, which means that a lot many of these trades, they're either going to get stopped out, or a very few percentage of them would even get to the stop loss part, meaning that you still have the opportunity to simply just set the hard stop loss and forget about all the the soft stop loss thing. SNT, yeah, so the SNT, it's by the way not looking good. I would be honest with you guys, Bitcoin needs to recover a little bit, because the reason SNT is not looking good, it's breaking below this trend line, and it's not only breaking below the trend line, but it's also trading under the quarterly VWAP, non-anchored and anchored quarterly VWAP. So not a good sign overall, but still, we have room to play. And as soon as I entered into this trade, I was a little bit skeptical about it, because it was making these huge wicks, and since the consolidation had not happened, so yeah, I immediately regretted it, to be very honest. Because this, if I draw the volume profiles for you guys from this region, you would notice that this is the area that we should have defended. We did not defend that spot. We had a break below, then we came back. We immediately had the rejection of this area. And that was a moment where I thought, okay, we're just stuck into this trade for quite some time. But in any case, if Bitcoin recovers a little bit, we will be able to close this break even. But at this point, it's trading under the resistance area. It did not had a bounce happening off, but still, we are so far, sitting at this region. So if we are able to reclaim all of these levels quickly, then it would be a good trade. No, you just need not to worry immediately, because just like you mentioned, it's not looking good at this moment, but at some point in time, maybe, since it's a coin that's only listed over Bybit and Binance, in Mexi, not even Mexi. Yeah, okay, so it's listed over Mexi and Bybit only, not on any mainstream exchanges, which means that it's still quite possible that at some point in time we will be having this, massive wick towards the upside, right? Is there a way to track group of coins like all AI coins performance? Yes, you can do so. All you have to do is simply just go to Coin Market Cap or CoinGecko, and simply just search AI coins. It would give you a complete list of AI coins, and you can simply just track their performance. Or you could create your custom watch list on TradingView. But the AI coins, they're supposed to perform good, because remember that Bitcoin again dropped. Okay, so we again had a drop down to 67,288. Just like I mentioned, we need to, in any case, fully reclaim this spot, and that's not happening anytime soon. It's a very kind of boring price action, I would say, because price is a little bit stagnant around this region, still trying to break over and over again above 67,500. But yeah, you can actually see that we had the first attempt, second attempt, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. So there have been like, six 4 hourly candles in which we have tried to break above this spot, and all of them have been, not successful so far. So let's see what happens. But I was talking about the AI coins. They're going to be top performers in my opinion, but you need to play a little bit smart around here, because Nvidia, the stock for Nvidia, it's sitting right at what was the chart that I was looking at? Okay, so the stock for Nvidia, it's sitting at 127% level. This is the doodle that I shared just a few days ago, in which I was expecting the price to bounce off here and then go back up to 127% fib level. So it's basically following a very beautiful fractal, and it just bounced off the quarterly VWAP. And this is, by the way, a good visual for all those people who are interested and who are always asking that if any of these confluences can actually work on stocks or not. Yes, they do, right? We have non-anchored quarterly VWAP, and you can see that price had a perfect bounce off that non-anchored quarterly VWAP, had a retested this region and came back up, and it's still sitting at 127% level. So if we go past 127% level, it will go up to 126, because if I draw this fractal for you guys, I don't know which was the fractal, I just completely forgot about it, but let's just try to find it back again. I guess it was this one. Yeah, okay, so 127% level, we had small rejection of this area. So most probably we are now going back to 170%. This is not going back, because this is going to be the new all-time high. But the performance for AI coin, it really depends on the performance of these major AI stocks, right? And it's a good thing that these stocks, they're performing good, trading near the all-time highs, and this is going to be a major benefit for the AI coins. I have not categorized any of these AI coins. To be very honest, I'm more interested in meme coins, because they are the top performers in comparison to AI coins. Like, we have seen how Mu has performed, we have seen how Pep has performed, Dogecoin has performed, we have seen how the Popcat has performed. This one has been the top performer. I have an entry for this one around here. Let's see how it goes. But first of all, we need Mu to play out good, right? Cats in a dog world, or cat in a dog's world. Okay, guys, I guess that's it for today. If you guys don't have any specific question, then we would end the live stream. This is a great data. Thank you. Piece of AI coins have gone up, but looks like only 30% of the coins are performing, showing that the majority are not in the tree. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Unlike the unlike the meme coins, all of the AI coins, they are not really performing that good. But exactly the opposite is the case with the meme coins. Meme coins are although performing good. Some of them are not. For example, we have a dog with hat. It's breaking below the trend line. We have, but on the other hand, we have examples like Popcat. We have cat in a dog's world. We have Dogecoin. These ones are performing good. The ones that are not performing good, they obviously have reasons present in the chart. For example, Pep, I would say it's trading under a major resistance area, breaking below the trend line. I don't know why people are going crazy over Pep, why they are randomly just taking long positions on Pep, because it's trading under a major resistance area. So let's see how our long position for this one goes, because this one is already trading around all-time highs. So this is definitely a risky position, but I see that it's very much dependent upon how Bitcoin performs around this spot. And let's see if it goes past the 67% $500 region or not, right? What are these indicators which show fair value areas and quarterly and yearly? I don't know about the fair value area thing. Could you please just specify which indicator you're talking about? But there could be so many indicators that would show you any kind of fair value regions. Quarterly and yearly VWAP indicator, I can share it with you as soon as the live stream ends. Please open a ticket. I would assist you there. Uh, Quarterly and yearly VWAP, these are very important indicators, right? What are these bars? Okay, so these bars, it's not fair value gap region, it's simply just an inbuilt tool in the trading view. It's called volume profiles, right? So you would be able to find it. I have already added it in my favorites, but you would be able to find it. 1 second. Okay, so in this spot, okay, so it's called basically anchored volume profile, so a fixed range volume profile. So this tool, right? So using this tool you can basically draw volume profiles, and you can have your point of controls or zone of interests.